In terms of what you just said, let's just dwell a bit more about 0 hours contracts. I know that what you've intimated is that the majority of the workforce, whether that's at Sports Direct, and I know that you'll no doubt be doing surveys for House of Fraser as well, that the majority of them want to remain on 0 hours contracts, but the evidence that the likes of us have got in terms of interactions with unions or staff is that they are extremely anxious about 0 hours contracts and the race to the bottom. Now, given that scenario, in terms of the stores that you will have on the high street or elsewhere, would you reconsider in terms of employing those people not on 0 hours contracts but with proper contracts with that security of work?
We do. Do you know how many people we take from 0 hours contracts and they work their way right through the company, all the way to the top? It's not a thing. If you're on a 0 hours contract, you then don't. You would be the first in line to be offered a full-time contract. Think about it, because we already know you. We've already worked with you. You already stand how our processes work. It's a fantastic stepping stone on the way up. It's a total positive. And I'm going to say it again, but all I get the sense is that people want to pick on things because that's a political hot potato. 0 hours contracts, they're so terrible, they're draconian, they're this, they're that. They're not perfect. I never said they were perfect. I said in lots of circumstances they are absolutely fit for purpose. And what's more, think how many people have come through. I should probably do a survey at Sports Direct to find out how many full-time employees have come through 0 contracts. The truth is I don't know the answer off the top of my head. I just know that I meet people, and when this a sort of debate comes around, they say, do you know, I started on 0 contracts, Mike. Do you know, I started on 0 contracts, Mike. Look who I am. I'm running head of transport. I'm this, I'm that. I'm manager X, Y, Z. Our most successful manager, as I understand it, in the store, started on 0 contracts. It's been in the public. It's been in the press. It's not a secret. Why do you can't make it such a negative thing?
Okay, well,
literally, I will commit to if the majority of people don't want 0 hours contracts, then we should do away with them.
Let's move on
Simple
to,
as that.
in terms of House of Fraser, when you took charge of that, you said that you're going to turn it, and I quote, into the Harrods of the High Street, and you're hoping to keep about 59 stores open. Now, there are many around the country that are anxious in terms of store closures. What factors would you take into consideration, or will you take into consideration when deciding on whether to close a store?
Please, it is not possible you call me here today and quote that I said I'd try and keep 59 stores open. I never said that, and you know it. This group here doesn't know I never said I would keep 59 stores open. Never.
Well, I've got a direct quote from yourself. You wanted to turn Harrods into the House of Fraser into the Harrods of the High Street and hope to keep 59 stores open. So
as many as the 59, and everybody knows I set a target of 80%. Everybody knows I set a target of 80%. Okay. What person could keep 59 stores open besides God? It's impossible. It can't be done. Okay. Why do you want to drag me to these committees and try and get me to commit to things that can't be done? There's no point. Let's be realistic. If I manage to save 80% of them, by the way, that might be a godlike performance. And before anybody says it, I'm not comparing myself to God.
Okay, brilliant. I don't think anybody else on the committee is either. So just to answer the question, what factors would you take into consideration when deciding whether to close a store?
So first of all, it's lots. So let's talk about a store. What time frame are you going to give me for keeping a store? 3 months, 6 months, a year, a 10-year lease, a 15-year lease? What time frame? Just give me an idea of the time frame.
Look, I'm not here to answer
I understand. So now you understand the complexity of the answer. Because if I give an answer like that, everybody will say, you said that. I go, well, that's not, of course I didn't mean that. Be realistic. So you say, okay, so Glasgow. Well, have you committed to keep the #1 store open, Fraser's in Glasgow? Yes. How did you manage to do that? We bought it. So by definition, we committed £100 into Fraser's of Glasgow, so you can then invest in the store. What happens in stores that you therefore can't buy for whatever reason? That makes them very difficult to invest in. What happens if you have a landlord that wants it for development for something else? Because they're going to make a fortune if it turns into flats, service business offices, everything else. A lot of the property has got a lot of value for other uses, and it's not easy to keep it as retail. And everybody wants to say greedy landlords. I accept some landlords are being greedy, but the vast majority of landlords want to sit down and work something out. They do. But then we get into time frames, investments, how we're going to do it. What happens if you have a store that actually, in fact, the whole high street dies around it? What are you going to do with the store then? Because I said, OK, I'll sign a 10-year lease. It's not going to help. In the end, that might bring the whole business down. I said before to the previous committee, I'm not Father Christmas. I'm actually a very, I believe, fair guy. I try and be fair, I try and be balanced, but you can't get me to predict a number with all the different variables going in, other than why wouldn't I want to save them? Okay, well, what advantage have I got of closing them?
Let's go into empty stores. We had Bill Grimsey, who presented evidence to the committee earlier this year in terms of how empty stores are a massive scar on our high street, and in terms of the huge void that they leave behind. So do you worry late at night about the impact of closing a store on the health of the high street in which that store is situated?
But why do you ask me late at night? Why don't you say on a Monday morning or during the normal working day, when I'm supposed to be considering these things? That's when I think about them.
Whatever time of day, whether it's
and in the right environment with the right people. So I'm sat with property, I'm sat with HR, I'm sat with buying. It's a whole group, shop fittings. It's a whole group of people that make those decisions. I said last time, I'm not sitting in my office stroking a white cat. So let's assume I look at all of those things. Yeah, you think it's funny. I don't. I find it very frustrating. Again, what benefit have I got of closing stores? And let's get on to this. Why are so many stores empty on the high street? Why are they?
So the question is, do you worry about the impacts of store closures on the high street?
I'm a retailer. Of course I worry about the state of the high street.
That's all I want. I mean,
by definition, I would worry about the state of the high street.
Finally, just allowing other colleagues to come in, do you see in terms of mitigating the harmful impacts of a store closure on the high street as part of your business's corporate social responsibility?
Of course not. Of course not. It's not my fault the high street's dying, is it? It's not House of Fraser's fault. It's not Marks and Spencer's fault. It's not Debenham's fault the high street is dying. It's very, very simple why the high street is dying. And you all know the answer, but we have to say it. It's the internet. The internet is killing the high street. I know. We have a £400 million internet business. That's 400 million. Guess what that affects the most? The high street, by definition. The question is what to do about it. If you want to save the high street, you have to address that problem. Right. It's as simple as that. Right.